So here's a close-up of the crochet shell mitts, and these were designed by Ellen Gormley, and they are created by just crocheting straight across in the shell stitch, and then when you bring the sides together you sew it here and sew it down here, and you leave an opening for the thumbs. And then when you have that joined, you come back and you do the little ribbing edge for the wrist. But they're very pretty. Okay, so let's get started. So you start with a chain of 43, which I've already done here. And then it says to work 2 double crochets in the 4th chain from hook. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to go right here. And I'm going to go into the back ridge. Normally I go into the top ridge, but because I have to come back and work into that foundation chain, I want to have a nice little 2 loops there to work into. So I just turn it and I go into that back ridge. So I'm going to work 2 doubles in there, and that creates a half shell on the end. Then I'm going to skip 2 chains, so it's 1, 2, and I'm going to roll it forward like that and single crochet into the next chain. Then I'm going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and roll it forward, go into the back strand. And let me do something here and put the blue underneath here. That helps to see it better. So right here I want to work 5 double crochets for a shell. Okay, then you skip 2 chains and single crochet in the next chain. And then you skip 2 chains and work 5 doubles into the next chain. Whenever a sequin comes up, you just kind of work past it. They don't really get in the way. So this pattern calls for a J crochet hook, which seems a little bit big, but it's fine for this demonstration. But you may have to go down a hook size to get your gauge to match the samples there. Okay, there's that. And then if you want to see where the next chain is, you just can roll it forward. You can see 1, 2. I'm going to go in that one, but I'm going to roll it forward and go in the back bar. And then I look on this side, 1, 2, and go into this one with a shell stitch. And then you skip 2, 1, 2, you single crochet in the next one, skip 2, 1, 2, shell in the next one, okay, skip 2, single the next one, skip 2, and let me see how it tells you to end. It tells you to do that 5 times and then skip 2, single crochet in the last chain, chain 3, turn. Okay, so I should have enough here for, I'm going to land up with 6 5 double crochet shells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just have one more to do here. Okay, and then you just single crochet in the last one like that. And then you work a chain 3 and turn, and you turn like the page of a book like that. And then it says 2 double crochets in the front loop. So this is your right side over here. So now you're going to work 2 double crochets in the front loop of the same single crochet. So the front loop here is, let me get my little I have a long weaving needle that doubles for a pointer. Okay, so right here is your first single crochet stitch right here, and it has 2 top loops right there. This is the chain, but right here is the single crochet stitch right here, and it has 2 loops, and it's telling you to work in the front loop. So you don't work in this loop and you work in the front loop, but typically you go underneath both loops, but in these directions it's telling you to go in the front loop. So what that's going to do is leave this loop in the front, and you'll see when I go on to the row 3 what happens. So I'm just going to go underneath that front loop like that and work 2 double crochet stitches. And then it says to skip 2 stitches and single crochet in the front loop of the next stitch. So what that means is there's 5 double crochets here. You're going to skip these 2 and you're going to work just in the front loop of the center double crochet. And then the same thing, then you're going to work in the front loops of all the stitches across. Now I'm going to work 5 double crochets in the front loop of the next single crochet. And now I'm going to go in the center double crochet of the next shell, and I'm going to go only in the front loop right there. I'm going to work a single, and then in the single I'm going to work a shell, but I'm only going using the front loops of each stitch. This yarn has a lot of wool in it, so even though they're fingerless, it'll keep you warm. So there's 5, and then I'm going to go in the center double and do a single, and then I'm going to do a shell. So it's a shell in every single and a single in the center double crochet of every shell. And a shell is always 5 double crochets. A full shell anyway. Okay, this is a repeat row, and there's only 2 repeat rows. So it'll alternate back and forth with row 2 and row 3. So at the end it says to single crochet in the top of the beginning chain 3 from the previous row. Okay, so I've got my last shell there, and my beginning chain 3 is right there. Let me get my little pointer out again. So right here I have the chain 3 from the previous row is 1, 2, and 3. And it was actually the turning chain when it said to work 2 doubles into the 4th chain from hook. These are the skip chains. So you're just going to single crochet in the front loop of the last one, right like that. So row 2 will look like this on this side. and this is the wrong side. So now it says to chain 3 and turn. So on the right side it looks like this because when you worked in the front loops you left the back loops free, so they kind of it alters the way the shell pattern looks a little bit. So now you're going to be working in the back loops. So now it says to work 2 double crochets in the back loop of the single crochet and single crochet in the back loop. Okay, so let me go through this. So here is your shell right here, and right here are the 2 strands at the top of the stitch, and you're going to go be in the last row you went in this loop, and now you're going to go in the back loop. So here you just work a single in the center single crochet like this. Now you go in the back loop of the single and you work your 5 double crochets. So it's the same pattern all the way across. It's shell in the single, single in the shell, but this time on the right side rows you're going to be working in the back loop, and on the wrong side rows you'll go back to the front loop. So now the pattern looks like that. You can really see the texture that's created by alternating the back loops and the front loops. Lands up really pretty, and this color is beautiful too. I would love a pair of these because I wear a lot of black. I think these will look good with black. Okay, so down at the end, just work the last shell. Okay, and then again you have the chain 3 for the turning chain, and you go into that with a single crochet at the end. Okay, so that's the second repeat row, and you just keep going until you have 9 rows. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it'll just end on the last shell repeat, and then you're going to finish off. And I just looked at the directions again, and you actually keep the piece straight like this, and you turn it around, and then you work this ribbing, and then you sew it together. So this is sewn together, and then this, and then you leave an opening and you sew it together up here. So anyway, I'm going to complete my 9 rows, and then I'll come back on camera and I'll show you how to do this ribbing stitch and then how to sew it together. So rows 1 through 9 are finished, and now I'm going to show you how to add the cuff on the bottom. and the cuff is added to the starting chain. So this is row 9 finished up here. So you're going to turn it around like this, and you're going to work in the chains of the starting chain. So in the beginning, I'm going to have you join with a single crochet to the first single crochet stitch here, and I have a slip knot on my hook, and I just insert my hook in the first single crochet stitch there, and then yarn over, draw that up, and yarn over, and then draw through 2, and that's joining with a single crochet. So now the instructions are to do a single crochet into this space right here next to the shell, and then single crochet in the same chain used by the shell there, and then on the other side of the shell you want to put a single crochet, and then in the same chain used by the single crochet of row 1, and then on this, see the 2 sides of the next shell, you're going to be putting a single on each side, and a single will go into the same chain used by the shell, and then into the space, and then into the single, and then the space, and then the shell, and then the space, and the single. So all the way across you do the same thing. This color is working up really pretty. So all the way across it will look like that. When you get down to the end, you're gonna single in that single, and then single in the chain space right there, and then single in the very last stitch right there. So that's how you do row 1 of the cuff. Now row 2, you chain 3 and turn, and that chain 3 is going to count as your first double crochet, and then you're going to double crochet in each stitch across, but you're not going to double crochet in the first stitch because your chain 3 is going to count as your first double crochet, and you just work doubles all the way across. So now I'm going to speed it up. So I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to finish this row, and then I'll come right back. So now row 2 is finished, and I have 27 double crochets, and I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And then I'm going to work a single crochet in the first double crochet like that, and then I'm going to work a front post double crochet around the next stitch. So to work a front post double crochet, I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to insert my hook from front to back, and then from back to front, and then I'm going to yarn over like this, and I'm going to pull that loop up, I'm going to yarn over and complete my double crochet stitch, and that's a front post double crochet. And then around the next stitch I'm going to do a back post double crochet, and to do that I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to bring my hook to the opposite side right here, and I'm going to go from back to front, and then from front to the back, and I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to pull that loop up, and then I'm going to finish my double crochet. So I'm going to draw through 2 and then draw through 2. So that's the back post. And now I'm going to do a front post. I'm going to yarn over, go from front to back and back to front like this, yarn over, draw that loop up, yarn over, draw through 2, and yarn over, draw through 2. And now I'm gonna keep alternating between front and back. So to do my back post, I'm gonna yarn over, go to the back like this. So I'm bringing my hook from the back to the front, and then the front, now I'm gonna go back around the post, which means around the side of the double instead of going into the top of it. So you yarn over, draw that loop up, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. So now I'll do a front post, and then I'll do a back post, and this is what gives it the ribbing effect on the cuff. So you just alternate back and forth. So it'll end up looking like this. See, can you see the ribs? Let me see. Maybe if I, let me bring this in and see if that shows up better. Yeah, a little bit. See, there's a ribbing texture starting to happen there. So go ahead and finish this row, and I'll come back and show you the next row what that looks like. So now I've reached the end of row 3 of the cuff, and at the very end, after my front post double crochet, I'm going to work a single crochet into the top of the turning chain. So the turning chain was a chain 3, so I want to go count 1, 2, 3 and put my single crochet right there in the 3rd chain. Okay, so that completes row 3, and that's the repeat row. It's like the pattern row. So you're going to alternate between row 3 and row 4, which I'm going to show you right now. So you chain 1 and turn, and it says to single crochet in the next stitch, which is the 1st stitch here. And now we're going to work a back post double crochet around the next stitch. Okay, so the back post is actually the front post from the previous row. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go turn my work towards me like this, and I'm going to get my hook from this side to that side like this around that post stitch, and I'm going to yarn over, draw that up, and then complete a double crochet stitch. And now this one right here, yeah, I'm going to go around that one with a front post double crochet, so the ribbing is will match. So you'll have the ridges going matching. So then you reach back here to grab this one and do a back post around that one. And now you're going to do a front post around this one. And then alternate front and back post double crochet stitches to get that ribbing effect on the cuff. So here, and then I'm going to turn it, go get this one and do a back post double crochet around that one, and then a front post around this one. So you just continue in this fashion all the way down to the end, and then you work a single crochet stitch in the end, and then when you turn, you're going to be doing the same exact thing. You're going to be matching up the post. So over here you're going to have a single, you're going to work a front post around this one and a back post around this one, just so your ridges line up, and you can see right here how the ridges are lining up together. So continue in this pattern until you've completed row 6, and then finish off leaving a long end, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'll come back on camera, and then all we need to do then is sew this together, and we'll sew the side seams and leave an opening for the thumb. Okay, I've finished my cuff, and now I'm ready to sew this mitt together, and I've got the right side facing me, and I'm going to fold the right sides together, And then because of these little sequins that are on the yarn strand, what you want to do is go in and cut any of the sequins off so they don't get in your way. And all you got to do is just snip them in half there. Easier said than done, I guess. Okay, and just get them off your entire strand of yarn because they will get tangled inside when you're trying to sew. Alright, so I've got that taken care of. And now I'm just going to match up the sides of the rows. So I'm going to start at the very corner on each side. And I'm just going to go through here. And at the very beginning, I want to go over this a couple of times to secure it. And then I'm just going to match the rows up. It doesn't have to be exact, but you definitely want to match your starting chain with your starting chain on each side. So I definitely know that I want this to match up right here. So I'm going to ease the stitches together. And then right at this point, I'm about 1.5 inches from the very beginning. I'm going to go over this a couple of times to secure it. Like that, and then I'm going to keep going. And when I get up to the match, I want to match the starting chain on each side like that, so the cuff lines up good. And that one I'm going to go over a second time there. And then when I come up here, I've got to leave space for my thumb. So on the sample here, there's about 1 inch above the cuff for the before the thumb starts, and then there's another inch on the other side. So I'm gonna, it looks like a couple of rows I'm gonna sew together like this, and right about here is where I want to start my thumb opening. So before I start the opening, I want to go over that a couple of times since it's going to get some stretching there where the thumb comes out. Okay, so I'm going to lock that there. Now for my opening, I'm just going to feed my yarn through one side like that. And then I want to leave an opening. This opening is about like 2 inches here. So I'm going to leave that opening on that side about 2 inches. So that brings me about up to here. So I'm going to keep feeding my yarn till I get to the top of where I want the opening to be. And then I'm going to secure that on just this one side, so it doesn't pull in there. And then I'm going to reconnect both sides. So I'm going to go like this, and then I'm going to go over that a couple of times, and then all I got to do is finish all the way to the end. And then when I get to the very end, I'm going to make sure both corners match, and I'm going to go over that 2 or 3 times. Okay, then when I'm done, I'm going to feed this through the matching color, and then back out here just to weave my ends in. And then you always want to cut flat. You never cut down into your stitches, and you just cut flat like that. And then when you turn it to the right side, you have your little mitt. And mine came out huge, so you definitely want to check your gauge, but that's basically how you make it. So with a tighter gauge, it would fit more like that. So it's really pretty. I like the way the colors changed and everything. So that's how you make the crocheted shell mitts, and I want to thank you for watching, and the links to everything are listed below. Turn back over here, and I'm going to knit off one more stitch like this, put it over here, tighten over the whole strand of yarn, and then pull that strand of yarn all the way through. And then just for extra security,